Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Coach Storm Allen podcast. And I am your host, Coach Storm Allen, and I'm sponsored by Stay Sexy Wellness. Yes, yes, yes. And welcome, 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 as I said, to the month of Black History Month. And that's what we're doing. We are celebrating Black History Month. I want to welcome, welcome, welcome to tuning in to episode number 86 as we celebrate. And you know what? The month is almost over. I'm kind of sad. I'm really enjoying these Black History moments as we share some Black History facts for the month of February. And as we celebrate, as I said, the outstanding and the contributions and achievements of African Americans in history, culture, and society. And it's so many people I could choose to do, and so many events, places, things that you can go on forever and ever and ever with doing Black History facts in time. Um, Even though it's only 28 days, I mean, we could have chose so many different people, so many different things, so many different places that it's really, really hard to choose. But today, I chose the woman, Elizabeth Bessie Coleman. And she was the first African American woman and the first um, Native American woman to hold a first international pilot's license. And the reason why I chose her is I love, love, love flying. I love flying. I like the idea of getting on a plane at your hometown. A couple hours later, you're in Paris, you're in New York, you're in Italy, you're in Africa, you're in Saudi Arabia, you're in Dubai, you're in Japan, you're in China, you're just somewhere, anywhere you want to be. It's just amazing to me how you just get in this one vehicle. And then hours later, maybe days later, you're somewhere totally different, speaking a different language, eating different food, meeting different people, different climates, different culture. It's just amazing how this flying can get you somewhere that fast. So at one time or another, I wanted to be work in air traffic control. I just love being around airplanes. I like being around the airport. Just being there makes me excited. But what happened, unfortunately, when I left, and I finally thought out what I wanted to do, I was too old. They have a particular age limit when you can begin the program. I didn't know that, so that was sad for me. But life goes on. I guess it wasn't meant for me to be, but that's something that I did want to aspire to be at one time. So I'm going to talk today about Miss Elizabeth Bessie Coleman and tell you about her flight in Black History Month. So Bessie Coleman was the first African American woman, like I said, and also the of first woman of Native American descent to hold a pilot's license. She grew up in a cruel world of poverty and discrimination, like back in the day, with desegregation, where the separate whites, separate schools, separate public places. That's the time era that she grew in. Um, so she was born on January 26th in 1892 in Atlanta, Texas. She was one of 13 children, and she was born to a sharecropper, George and Susan Coleman, who were of Native Native American and African American descent. Bessie worked as a child in the cotton fields, and she vowed one day to amount to something. That's that's how it starts. Definitely have to have that desire to be than more than anybody else. Okay, starts at a young age. So at age 6, Coleman began attending school in hmm, Waxahachie, Texas, in a one-room segregated schoolhouse, where she completed all 8 grades. And at age 12, Bessie was accepted to a missionary Baptist church school on the scholarship. She wanted to go past that grade level. She wanted to go to college. So she worked and she saved some money and she went to Langston University in Oklahoma. But she only completed one term because she ran out of funds. So at age 23, at 1915, she moved with her brother in Chicago, her older brother. And she became a beautician and then she was a manicurist and on the south side. And then there she met a friend named Robert Abbott. Now he was a publisher of a company. I'm sorry, a publisher of a the Chicago Defender, and he also was one of the first black millionaires in the United States. So he used to tell us stories about pilots flying in World War I, and she was really excited about that. She said, you know what, I want to fly too. So she got another job, and she saved her money because she wanted to fly as well. But in those days, she was not able to get into flight school for two reasons. First, she was a woman, and second, she was black. Now, the only people that really flew, there wasn't many American women that did have a pilot license that did fly, unless she was rich. And of course, she wasn't rich, so she was not able to get into any kind of flying school. But her brother teased him one day because he went to France. He was in France in the war, so he was teasing her. He said, "You know what? I know something that French women can do that you would never do. You know how brothers tease you and how siblings tease each other. He teased her. He said, I know something you can do you can never do. But you're not French." And she said, "What?" He said, "Fly." And that was it. That just inspired her to really, really want to fly. So what she did was she learned to speak French. She went to a school in the Berlitz School in Chicago, and she learned to speak French. So she saved her money. She got another job. She saved some money, and then that's what she did. She set off to Paris in November 20, 1920. Now there she enrolled in a school, and she was the only woman of color, a student of color in the class. And in 7 months, she achieved her goal. Now she was taught, she said, in a 27-foot biplane, and it was known to fail. Okay, frequently. But she still went on and pressed on. One day she witnessed a fellow student who died in a plane crash because these planes wasn't all of that. So even though she was devastated, she was shocked, her nerves was bad, she still continued training, and in June 1921 she received an international pilot's license. So she was the first African American to receive an international pilot's license. So she returned back to the United States, and this was kind of surprising to me. She came back to the United States. Well, she was really welcome. She was welcome, and people were excited that she got this international license, and she was the first of her race. So she was invited for guest of honor to go to a black musical, Shuffle Along, and there, as she entered, she got a standing ovation from the people who were there, including they said several hundreds of white people sitting in the orchestra seat, and they also gave her a standing ovation. I thought it was really nice. So over the next 5 years, she performed on countless air shows, and the first one was on September 3rd, 1922. And it was good, but this was nice because um, she was doing a show. Our first appearance was for an American Air Show honoring the veterans of the all black 369th Infantry Regiment of the First World War. And it was held at Curtis Field on Long Island, New York. The air show billed Coleman as the world's greatest woman flyer. What a bill. It was nice. So weeks later, she returned to Chicago and worked for several years as a barnstorming pilot. So what she did performing riveting acts, she did aerobatics, she did figure eight, she did flips, she did maneuvers, all kind of maneuvers. So they called her Queen Bess and Brave Bessie. I guess so. hmm Throughout her career, she only would perform at air exhibitions if the crowd was desegregated and permitted to enter through the same gate. She didn't play that. That was fantastic. She didn't play that. She wanted to be sure that everybody had the equal opportunity to see her. That's great. So, upon saving all her money, because she had three goals, she had three dreams. One of her goals was to get her license. The second goal she had was to own a plane, and the third goal of hers was um, to open up a school for women of all colors to be able to learn how to fly. So it's the third. She got two. She had one more to go. So she was just about saving all her money, but on April 30th, there was a there was a tragic accident in Jacksonville, Florida, together with a young Texan mechanic called William Wells. Coleman was preparing for an air show that was taking place, and Will was at controls, and at 3,500 feet, there was an unsecured wrench that was jamming up the gears, and she was not wearing a seatbelt, and she fell to her death 2,000 feet. So at her funeral, they said about 10,000 people came to mourn and gave last respects to the first African American women aviator. Um, Coleman had not been forgotten in the decades since her death. For a number of years, starting in 1931, black pilots from Chicago instituted an annual fly over her grave every year since 1931. That's awesome. In 1977, a group of African American women pilots established the Bessie Coleman Aviator Club, and in 1992, a Chicago City Council resolution they wanted a U.S. postal stamp named after her. Okay, wanted a stamp, and even millions of young people with her sense of adventure, her positive attitude, and her determination to succeed. Including that, her legacy endures as she is credited with inspiring generations of African American aviators, male and female, including the Tuskegee Airmen and NASA astronaut Dr. Mae Jemison, who carries Bessie Coleman's picture with her on her first mission in space. Wow. She carries a picture of her on her first mission of space when she became the first African American woman in space aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour in September 1992. So she was a great inspiration to all, young and old, currently aspiring people to try to go for their dreams, no matter how big or how small. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story, and I'm glad I did that tonight because I really I learned a lot about her. I didn't know she did all of that, and then can you imagine that her picture was with Mae Jennifer Jameson as well in space? Awesome. So I'm hoping that I inspired you and you learned something new today because I know I learned something as well. Um, and tomorrow will be another Black History moment. I'm hoping you get some have value. If you get value, please let me know. And if you learn anything, please let me know because I'm going to be sure that I'm really bringing some good news to you to the Black History Street. So I guess that's good evening for tonight, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow. All right, now you have a good evening and be blessed. Thank you and good night.